We're going to do basic introduction to NFL fantasy football for anybody who's new to the sport, and yeah, we're just going to crack straight into it. Basic league formats. So the basic one everybody knows, a redraft league. So redraft is you draft a new team every year. Typically, like what we play, we're in a 12-team league. Where you'll just get a new team every season. It's all about keeping an eye on rookies coming in and drafting the right team each and every year, as opposed to a dynasty league where you'll keep the same team on a yearly basis.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest.
But barring, like, you'll maybe draft a few rookies to come into your team the following year, but the core of your team is going to stay the same. So you're going to keep the same about 15 to 20 kind of players year on year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you do one big dynasty draft for that at the start, where you draft like your full team, about 20 odd guys in your team. And then every year you're just kind of replenishing that with rookies. And then a different format of that would be a keeper league, where you're changing the majority of your team, but you're keeping normally 3 players. You're like choosing, I'm going to give up the first round draft pick in order to keep Ja'Marr Chase, for example. You know, you typically give up a draft pick to keep the player.
Okay.
And the last league format would be best ball, which I've done a bit of, but I know Thomas or Adam, have you played any best ball leagues?
No.
I know me and Thomas were in a keeper league together, so he knows a little bit about keeper leagues. But best ball is different from all of these formats in that it's typically redraft, but every single player on your team, you kind of just draft them and leave them. You still have a starting roster, but it's based off who scores best that week. It's called best ball. So the best players populate your starting team every single week.
Okay.
Oh, that's so much easier.
So you literally just draft your team, leave it, computer does the work for you. Typically, then you pick like guys with a bigger upside. You know, say guys who are going to go out and score 3 touchdowns one week and no touchdowns the next week. Those are the guys that are valuable in best ball, because you don't have to pick and choose when you play those guys. You don't have to try to find when they're going to score 3 touchdowns. They just automatically score you 3 touchdowns.
Okay.
Give you that big spike week. Drafting, obviously, like a standard draft would just be a snake draft. So I think we touched on when we were drafting that if you drafted first, you'll then draft last the next round, and so on and so forth.
Snickety snake.
And a linear draft would typically be used for the likes of a dynasty league, where there's actively a bad roster. So the worst team is actually the worst team. So they will just draft first in every single round. And the best team will draft last in every single round.
See, in the first fantasy league we played together in 2014, did we do linear?
Yes.
It was linear, wasn't it? So if you got the
For some reason we did linear, yeah.
which is ridiculous.
No, wait, no, we did snake.
Oh, did we do?
Yeah, no, it was snaking the first time we did it. Yeah.
That's it. That's what I was trying to remember.
I'm trying to work out the first season whether we did, but definitely going on we did snake, but I'm not sure the first season.
We didn't.
Are you sure?
It was 100% snake. Yeah.
I don't know.
The one different style of
Yeah,
drafting.
you can't blame it on the league format.
Oh, I can find a way to blame it.
The one different kind of drafting that we haven't touched on, that you guys probably haven't done either. Not saying that, like, I've done one auction draft in my life. Auction drafts are really tough. You still draft in order, but say I'm the first pick, I will literally I nominate Ja'Marr Chase. I put him up for auction. And then we all bid on Ja'Marr Chase. And the highest bid gets Ja'Marr Chase. So you'll maybe start the draft with $200, and that's what you have to spend on your entire team. So if you really want Ja'Marr Chase, you might spend like half your budget on him. You might spend a quarter. It's really tough and really weird. I remember doing it when Todd Gurley was a thing, and people spending like 90% of their budget on Todd Gurley and then just filling the rest of the roster with a bunch of really crappy players.
Oh, that'd be so much more tough, like.
Auction drafts
I think it's the one type of draft I haven't done. And
they're nuts. Done it once. I don't think I ever want to do it again. But if you want, if that sounds interesting to you and you want to go and try it and experiment with it, then go for it. Scoring with Thomas Atkinson.
Oh, get ready for this, guys.
Here we go. Lecture, glasses coming on. Adam at a center.
5 seconds. 5 seconds on the clock.
5 seconds on the clock. Okay. All right. Scoring. So, in your fantasy's team, there's 5 core positions. That's QB, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, and defense. That's 6 because I can't count. Bad math. But essentially, the way it works is you pick your best team. You're competing against someone else, normally in a head-to-head format, and the idea is get more points than them. So, how do you get the points? Well, there's different ways that players score. Every player is going to get you points that you draft on your team. There's passing points, there's receiving points, there's rushing points, kicking points, and defense points. So passing points, really easy. That's mainly done by the QB. Occasionally, you might get your wide receiver throwing a pass, but it's done by the QB most of all. The way it works, they get 1 point for every 20 yards they throw, or 25 yards they throw. So if they throw 250 yards, they're going to get 10 points. They also get 4 points for touchdowns normally, and then interceptions, sacks. Sometimes they'll lose points based on that, but it depends on your league format. Normally for an interception, it's -2, but you can change those points as you see fit, but that's sort of the standard way of doing it. When you get onto rushing is really straightforward. It's very similar to receiving. It's every yard is worth 0.1 of a point. So if they rush 10 yards or receive 10 yards, that means they get 10 points or 1 point, sorry. So yeah, so 100 yards, 10 points, nicely done. For receiving touchdowns or rushing touchdowns, that's 6 points. So both of those get 6 points. They do sometimes lose points for fumbles. Again, it depends on your fantasy league story, but it's normally -2 for or -1 for fumbles that they've then lost. So receiving, rushing, they normally go for your sort of main core players, which is going to be the running backs, the wide receivers, and the tight ends. So that's the receiving and rushing point system. In some leagues, they're PPR. What that means is points per reception. So you can assign a point or half a point based on every time your player catches the ball. So it has to be a forward pass, has to be a catch, and they got to go from there. Then you got kicking. Your kicker pretty much gets 1 point for every point after attempt. Then they'll get 3 points for every field goal. And sometimes, again, depending on your league system, but if it's more than 50 yards, it's 5. They should get penalized more if they miss kicks. But again, make it difficult for yourself if you want to.
Oh, Thomas, wait till you check out the scoring system I've got in our league.
I can't wait to see. You get penalized if it's is it missed within 30 or 25?
You get penalized for every miss. It's just how much you get penalized per miss, Adam. That is the question.
No, but traditionally, like if you miss from 50, you don't get penalized, for example. But traditionally, it's one.
Normally, a missed extra point back in the day was famously a -1. Everything else was fine.
I think if your kicker misses a game-winning kick, their points for that entire game should automatically go to 0.
No.
Like, if they miss a crucial clutch game-winning kick that would have won their team the game, you should all...
Thomas, flip side, if they make a crucial game-winning kick, double the points.
Yeah, double points.
Double points.
Game-winning pass or fumble on a game-winning run?
Too many variables. Could have been a bad throw. Could have been could have had butter on his fingers. You don't know. Just it's impossible.
Could have had, yeah. Could have had a greasy lunch.
Yeah,
that's definitely fair.
You've seen the food over there. It's like could be that. And then the final one, defense. So defense, your defense normally starts off with 10 points. You think, hey, that's great, but every time they're scored against, those points go down. How your defense makes up points is by getting sacks, interceptions, pick sixes, punt returns or kickoff returns, things like that will get them points. Pretty much any way that the offense isn't scoring and defense is, you're going to get points for it. So you want a team that's going to sack well, not get conceded a lot, and then also, maybe get a good interception thing in there. But that's the sort of high level overview of scoring. Once your players have done well, your totals tallied up, and then it goes against the person you're against, and you'll get a win-loss record, which will be, say, if I beat Adam, which I will, it'll be 1-0 for me.
That's fair. That's fair. Fair enough.
He was predicted to win against you, I don't remember.
He is absolutely delusional. If we're going to analyze our teams, mine is vastly superior. But
there's a fun wrinkle. There's a fun wrinkle I was going to pick up on as well, that I've seen a lot of leagues now start to do tight end premium. What a tight end premium would be, says a PPR league, the tight end would get 1.5 points per reception rather than just 1 point.
Oh, I like that. Makes it more
It makes
efficient, and you potentially draft higher at that point.
Yeah, it makes guys like Brock Bowers and Trey McBride significantly more valuable.
Well, Brock Bowers, instead of going at number 18, potentially goes in the top 10.
Yeah, because he got 112 receptions last year from the tight end position, so that's 56 additional fantasy points.
I don't even think Gronk at his peak got that many. He was big.
Putting it into perspective, I think Brian Thomas Jr. for the Jags, who was the 5th best wide receiver in fantasy last year, got 87 receptions.
Well, there you are.
So it's
That's pretty good. The 5th best wide receiver in the 32nd best team.
Where did you pull it?
No, they're still better than the Patriots now.
I don't think they are.
31st best team.
We did better than Patriots last year.
I get the privilege of watching the 31st best NFL team this year.
Wow.
Why am I spending money to go and see Jacksonville get Saxonville?
for the crack. Let's go for the crack.
Let's go for the crack.
I didn't say anything. I'm a Jets fan.
Impact
Adam, do you
food directly? You have to apply with a lot of beers after a Jags game.
Oh yeah, I mean Thomas can testify to that. Yeah, that was a heavy weekend.
So many
especially because we were there with a lot of Bears fans, and the Bears just absolutely kicked our ass. So yeah, I was getting a lot of beers. But yeah, Adam, do you want to run?
Did they at least buy you a beer for bending your team over for 120 minutes or?
No, they just mocked him.
60 minutes, but
mocked him endlessly.
Time at the stadium before you actually left.
Well, yeah, and it was pretty much start to finish. So yeah, I was a bit sore, a bit tender. Didn't sit down for a week. Adam, do you want to run with roster kind of makeup, and then give a brief overview of free agency?
I know worries. So chatting about rosters. There are a lot of various different ways or various different rosters that you can work off. More traditional is the one we kind of started with. The first fantasy league we all played in together back in 2014. So you're starting with 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a flex, a tight end, a defense, and a kicker. The flex that you're working with at that point is traditionally just another wide receiver, running back. That's the way a lot of traditional fantasy leagues work. That means you have to be very specific with the guys you're going for on your starting team. At that point, for example, other leagues, one league we're playing at the minute has 2 quarterbacks that you're going with. So that kind of changes what way you're drafting, for example. So traditionally, a normal roster, quarterbacks will drop a lot lower. You're looking for a really good fantasy wide receiver, a really good fantasy running back. If you're looking at where people are projected to be picked in more traditional fantasy leagues, you're going to see wide receivers and running backs dominate the first 2-3 rounds, and you'll get tight ends maybe up in there. You'll maybe get 1 or 2 in the first 2 rounds if you're lucky, 3 maybe. And it just makes it a wee bit more difficult, because you've got to think a wee bit more about who you're putting on with that, because you have to be very specific. You have to really look at matchups at that point more so. So if you just have 1 quarterback and you have 1 quarterback on your roster, or sorry, on your starting roster, and one quarterback on your bench, you're going to look more so at your matchup at that point. Are they playing a fantasy friendly team? Are they better against the pass? Are they better against the rush? Who are you playing at that point? But anyway, if you're going to extended rosters, which is probably a wee bit more friendly to people coming into fantasy, where it is going to be a higher scoring format. One we're playing at the minute, in Crowding the Mic, just because it's 4 of us, to make it a wee bit more fun coming into it. We're playing 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs. So you've got 1 more quarterback at that point, 1 more running back. You're going to 4 wide receivers, which is very high, but it'll be a lot of fun to see. So that's 2 more than you would normally do. And then you're working your tight end position. We just had 1 still, but then you go your flex and you have 2. The difference with this fantasy league compared.
Oh no, we've got 2 tight ends as well.
Oh, sorry.
We've just went all out. That's all.
2?
Sorry, I keep on forgetting how much we have in that. Sorry, so 2 tight ends,
Two tight ends.
Even more
Like,
extended.
The basic thinking with a 4-team league is you want to make a 4-team league more like an 8 or 10 person league. So in order to make it more like an 8 and 10 person league, what do? You pretty much double or more the number of spots that you have.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
2 quarterbacks means that it makes it into an 8-person league effectively, and what you have to choose from.
Yeah.
Okay.
The flex, well, as Matthew said there, the flex is double, which represents exactly what he said. The flex is really interesting though, because you add on to the flex in that league we're playing. So in Crowding the Mic, traditionally your flex is set for is your wide receiver, your running backs. You're only able to pick those guys. The flex position we've extended to is your tight ends as well, which makes the tight ends slightly more valuable whenever you're drafting them at that point. And then also with the flex position, if you really want to go heavy, which we haven't on this, you can add the quarterbacks to it, which would make it absolutely ridiculous
That
scoring.
would be ridiculous. Well, you would just end up with a 4 quarterback league at that point.
4.
We'll just pick, for example, my first 2 picks in our draft of 20 players, I believe, wasn't it? No, 20 rounds, were quarterbacks. So
Yeah.
I picked Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow. I was very happy to do that because quarterbacks in this format are very fantasy friendly. If it had been a flex position offering up quarterbacks as well, I might have for the first 4 rounds just went quarterback.
I think we all would.
Which would make it a lot of fun, but probably a wee bit less interesting and like fantasy skill that way.
Nice.
And then you work down. Sorry. And then you just work down. It's 1 defense, 1 kicker. For anybody that doesn't know, kickers matter nothing to fantasy.
Yeah, a lot of leagues now actually do away with the kicker position. I like keeping it in. It's a bit of random. It's a bit of randomness. It's a dice throw.
It is. It's always nice to win whenever your kickers hit a 50-yard field goal and you wake up on Tuesday morning.
Oh, it's crushing to lose to a kicker.
It's your kicker hit a 50-yard field goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, kickers are still a wee bit interesting because, as Thomas alluded on, like you can lose points from kickers. Matthew had said you lose a point for missing an extra point, but you can also have terrible repercussions, which I believe we're going to hear for
yeah. So hold on. Field goal missed. If you miss a field goal within like 0 to 19 yards, so a really short field goal, it's minus 5 points. You just lose 5.
Yes, there we go.
20 to 29 yards is minus 4. 30 to 39 minus 3. 40 to 49 minus 2, and 50 to 59 minus 1.
I'm just benching my kicker.
Can we not play him? Like,
I am not playing my kicker.
Those are misses. Your kicker's not going to miss that much, unless he's really bad, and then you've just done a bad job.
I feel like I remember even like 10 years ago, my kicker.
Harrison Butker's one of my kickers. All he's going to do is kick field goals. The potential of him missing these 50
to 55 yard field goal or 59 yard field goal, as Thomas said, typically plus 5 points. You get 5 points.
Yeah.
You make a 60+ yard field goal, my friend, you're taking home 10 sweet points.
Hey,
Oh,
all
There
right.
we go.
You're taking home. And there's no negative to kicking a
That's
60+
pure
yard field goal. If you miss a 60+ yard field goal, it doesn't matter. It's 0.
That's pure gambling right there. Look,
You actually benching your
I'm
kicker?
benching my kicker every week. I'm getting a sweet.
I would love
0
it though if
point.
you woke up one morning it was like he had
I wanna
scored
actually
like
look-
20 points. So yeah,
Yeah.
just
I want to
bench
actually
him.
look at what kickers got last year in our league, like what they would have got
By the
last
way,
year in our
that's-
league in this scoring format.
For,
I'll
for
run
any
through it.
for anybody watching, like, don't do that. That's just bad crack. Like, play your kicker. Like, it's fantasy. It's good fun, but I do make a good point. Defenses I've found in the past can be very important. You can get lucky and pick a really good defense where they'll win you matchups, but
I'm pretty sure I had like
traditionally it's not going to be.
Seahawks.
Traditionally, they're not going to be a league winner, but they are pretty important on whether you win certain matchups and potentially reach the playoffs. So sometimes people will choose, like myself, to choose like the Philadelphia Eagles in the 7th round of a draft when nobody else picked the defense until the 9th or the 10th. You can take that calculated risk, but sometimes you can do it without a defense. I chose to take a risk this year, but the last time I really took a risk on a defense was at Matthew's beloved Saxonville Jaguars, and they did not do well.
They shot the bed that year. Yeah, they were really bad. And,
Good
Adam,
four kickers.
just to kind of to make you feel more confident with our scoring format for kickers, your kicker Cameron Dicker the kicker got 161 points last year in our scoring format. That's a lot of points for a kicker. That's a lot
Is
of
that
points.
up? Is he up there?
What? Cameron Dicker was the 3rd best kicker last year in our scoring format, 161. He made 93% of his kicks. So if you've got somebody who makes
There you
93% of his kicks, he's
So-
not going to get negative points.
What?
He's going to get positive points. He's going to win you weeks.
So what you're
So
telling me
happy
is
right now.
93% of the time he made it every time.
Every
Do
time.
you want to know something fun? Last year, there was 4 60+ yard field goals.
Who'd you have?
2 of them were made by Brandon Aubrey.
Oh,
Yes, Brandon Aubrey is a really good pick in that format.
And
Really good.
he had, well, to be fair, he had 4 shots at 60-yard field goals.
oh,
He made two.
He
but
made
you don't lose any points for that though, do you?
Nope.
That's
I'll tell you, Adam, that even Jake Moody for the San Francisco 49ers, who missed 29% of his kicks, only made 71% of his kicks, he still got 96 points in our scoring format. That's all right. It's all right. There were definite weeks there where he got
not
negative.
great, though, is it? That's not
Oh, yeah,
great.
he definitely
18
got negative points some
or
weeks.
17
He
weeks
made
of fantasy football.
Okay,
He
you make a
made-
good point. I'm
he
not
missed more than a
benching
quarter of his kicks.
Okay, you make a good point. I'm not benching my kicker.
No,
But you can see my skepticism.
No, I can't. I can't see it.
Adam Kicker is going to shit the bed. And I'm so there for it.
My kicker is just going to decide to take a wee drop goal out to the side or something.
It's just it's always the ultimate jinx comes out when Adam picks someone. They just have to fumble or break their leg when they're going to kick it.
They got to screw it.
Oh, it's like that scene in The Simpsons, isn't it? The college kicker whose leg comes off as he's kicking.
Next, Adam's kicker his leg will come off and then kick the ball away from the net.
So, Adam, do you want to give us a run through of like free agency, how that works, how the waiver wire works on a weekly basis?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, with so after each week, obviously you have winners and losers. So we'll just take it from like the start, like the first week. So we're in a league of 4 of us. The highest scoring person will be the lowest person in the waiver wire. So they'll get the 4th pick on the waiver wire. The person that gets the worst points, hopefully Thomas after the first week, playing against my team of all-stars.
Never going to happen.
Will get the first pick in the waiver wire, which is detrimental to me because I will not get to pick a guy on the waiver wire who has potentially done really well in week 1 that we haven't picked in our draft, but we've probably all spotted. But Thomas will get to have first dibs on him first.
Yeah, and anybody who we haven't drafted is in what's called free agency. They sit in free agency and they go on the waiver wire typically for 1 day a week. So typically it's like the games will finish on a Monday. Tuesday will be your waiver wire claim day. Wednesday will be your waiver wire pickup day. So that's when you find out if you've got these players.
And you
Then
can pick anybody.
You can make
Anybody that's not
Anybody.
currently on a roster.
Okay.
Anybody, and then once that happens after the first day, as you said, the time limit, Matthew, isn't it like 24 hours after?
Yeah. It's not really just like that Tuesday.
After that, if anybody else isn't picked, like say none of us has picked somebody up, there's still a free agent at that point, so they're still in free agency. So if we decide we still Kilda, Jesus. If we
Can you only pick? Can you pick as many people as you want off that?
you can as long as they're still available. So
Okay.
as I said, like you can make a request for as many players as you want on the waiver wire if they're a free agent. But I can make as many as I want as well. You also put it in order of your request.
Like
So
your
like
priority.
if you really want somebody, you're going to pick them first.
Yeah.
Obviously, the annoying caveat is you have to drop somebody as well. So if you've got like a really good roster and you don't really have anybody you want to drop, you're going to have to make sacrifices to get somebody on the waiver wire.
And assuming you can also just refuse to not take anybody.
Yeah, you can just stick with your roster as is. But typically, the teams that do best at the end of the season are the ones that play the waiver wire properly. The only other way to get guys onto your team, other than that, is to trade.
Yeah,
and not a lot of people trade right off the bat because it's scary because you always feel like you're going to be fucked over by somebody. So
I can't see a lot of trading happening in ours, to be honest, like because there's so many people.
I've got a couple of trades lined up.
Right.
So hard, like
no, I know I'm gonna get screwed.
He's already he's actually looking
let's have
at
a
his
look.
phone now to potentially make a trade. I'm not joking.
Let's get Joe Burrow
There's
on.
also like for anybody starting.
Joe Burrow off me? What are you going to offer me?
I'll give you the Eagles defense.
Nice, good trade offer. For anybody listening to this who is scared about, you're going into your first or second fantasy season, you're scared about trading. My recommendation is always just like do it. Just like go with your gut and just do it because you'll learn more by the mistakes that you make in trades and free agency than you will by just never trading ever. And also, there are resources out there. If you're worried about getting screwed over, you can go to like one of the websites
or something like that, or
one of the websites would be like Keep Trade Cut. There's trade calculators that will tell you roughly how much your player's worth in terms of other players, in terms of draft picks, that kind of stuff. It just helps get your head around it in the early days. Yeah, but that's pretty much every aspect covered. Without us having to go into too much detail, is there anything you want clarified, Nathan?
No, it was more about the waiver stuff, like the week to week things was more the. Was the
two things to do, you kids.
It's like swapping in and people out.
And stay at school and don't trade with Thomas Atkinson. Two things.
Okay. No, because all you'll hear is his laughter.
Like.
Well, another thing that a lot of leagues do, and this will kind of feed into your question about like the free agency and everything, Nathan. A lot of leagues now work with what's called a free agent acquisition budget, or FAB. So in the way I was talking about the auction drafts earlier on, you'll get a certain amount of money, say $100 for the year, and instead of just going to claim somebody off the waivers, you'll put a bid in on them money wise.
Okay.
So you've got that $100 to play with for the year, but say a really good player is available on waivers at the start, you just like throw $50 at them at the start. If you get them, great, but you're minus $50, which means future free agents become available. You're not going to have necessarily the money to get those high profile targets. It just makes it less chance and more like strategic, more like a sneaky way of playing.
Yeah, my problem is I was sitting that money for like the whole season and not dealing with it. Be too worried about it.
A lot of people do that. A lot of people hoard that money until like 2 weeks before the playoffs, and then they just spend it and get all the best players right before the playoffs. But of course, there's a chance then that nobody good's available.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or they don't reach the playoffs.
And also, isn't it you have to? you say the other night, you can't swap anybody. You have to swap them before they play, as such.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, you can't, like, once your player starts his game, he's locked in for the
Okay.
week.
Yeah.
So whether he's on your starting team or off your starting team, you can't do anything with him. He's locked out.
Always check your teams just before the game starts.
Always
Okay,
check your teams at
always check
about
your teams.
like half 5, quarter to 6 before those 6 o'clock games. That's the best time to check your team, because you'll start to see all these late inactives come in. And
I was gonna say, like, how, you know, like if they're injured or whatever, do you hear about that plenty of time before the game starts, or is it
They
like
might injure
No.
themselves during warm up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you will just hear about half an hour before kickoff.
that's
Yeah.
gonna be too
Yeah.
much stress?
Te-
It's not
te-
even a
teams-
serious
te-
league.
teams are obliged to give a practice report every day. So
Okay.
they'll give a practice report every day. That'll typically go into the fantasy community quite quickly, and we'll hear like so and so has a hamstring issue that they're dealing with during the week, their day to day. Then later in the week, you'll say they're going to try to play. They're going to see how it is in the warm up, and then during the warm up, they'll maybe say, "I'm going to play 100%. I'm going to play 50%, or I'm not going to play at all."
Okay.
So you just need to be
I
checking
kinda-
those kind of guys.
Yeah.
The good thing about the fantasy apps is they will tell you. They show you on the players. You
when
don't
we were-
need to go into every single player and check what his news is.
Yeah.
You'll see little symbols or letters beside the player, which will say, you know, Q for questionable, so he may or may not
Yeah.
play. So keep an eye out for him. O is out, so he's not playing. He's been pulled back from the game.
Mhm.
What's I? Is that injured?
It,
like
I
inactive?
are typically,
It's
but
inactive.
D would be doubtful,
D would be doubtful, so it's like very unlikely he's going to play.
like
so-
less than 50% chance that they're going to play. Typically about
SES
25%.
is suspended.
Yeah. Then you've got suspended. So, you know, keep an eye on those.
So
things.
half of
Keep an eye on
Nathan's
those
team's
things.
going to be sus.
I was gonna
Nathan-
say there's like
yeah,
at least
Nathan-
2 that are probably suspended.
Nathan, any time you see big red letters beside your players is grand, just start them. It's honestly okay.
Well, the sleeper league
Plug
makes
that guy
it
in.
confusing because they put like the difficulty of the team they're playing in big red letters as well, and some of the positions. But
So
like,
how many points Michael would you by?
pardon?
How many points Michael would you by in this?
5 apparently.
Just a 5.
Don't know how.
So yes, Nathan, anything else you want clarified, or will we move on?
No, I think that's good for now. So it is, because that kind of introduces everything. I think it'll
Time
be
moved.
different when we start another, or like, you know, when we actually get into it a wee bit.